Welcome to Explore Hayat, the number one podcast in Dubai. And I'm your host, Kashif Hayat. And today we have an exciting episode lined up.
Unfortunately, as journalists, because we're supposed to be objective, we are not being objective. After 9/11, of course, things got out of hand and they declared a war on terror.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps.
People are dying. There's a whole genocide happening. We are all just watching it. With the rise of Islamophobia in the West, especially in today's climate, I'd say it's so much more difficult to gain acceptance. And why should you want to gain acceptance? When you want to create an us versus them, a polarization between people, you have to make the other party look inhumane, like they're not humans. So for example, if it's a Muslim who has committed an act or a criminal act, he's labeled a terrorist. But if it's not a person of color and not a Muslim, he's maybe labeled someone who has a mental health issue.
This guy was a genius in what he was doing. But then his end really was, I felt hurt about it.
We had to pitch the story to Becky Anderson. Now, that's...
Okay.
Becky Anderson, and you're like, oh my God, she's like the anchor, of CNN.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Wherever my mom is. She's home. Karak chai. Karak chai is like culture. Okay, it's a Desi culture.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. And now every human walking in the UAE knows what karak chai is and has to have it.
Our guest today is Shazia Laving, a journalist, mental health advocate, and someone who has lived, studied, and thrived in the UAE for the past 20 years. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share this podcast with your friends. Let's get started. Shazia Laving. So I'm going to ask you some quick questions and quick answers only. So let's go.
Great.
Beach day or desert safari?
Oh, this is difficult. Beach day.
Arabic coffee or chai?
Definitely chai.
Chai, correct?
Definitely.
Best mall in Dubai?
Oh, best mall. I'd say Dubai Mall is good. Dubai Mall or Mirdif City Center is not too bad.
Mirdif City Center, because you live nearby?
Yeah, sort of. But actually, growing up, Dera City Center was always...
Dera City Center.
It's the go-to mall. You get everything.
True. Yeah, history. I would say now, history of Dubai.
Definitely.
Dera City Center. Winter in Dubai or summer in London?
Oh, winter in Dubai. Winter in Dubai is the best.
Oh, that's amazing. So many tourists from all along the world, right?
Exactly. A lot come here.
Yeah. One word to describe UAE.
Diverse.
Diverse. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Wherever my mom is. She's home.
Okay, she's your home. Okay, she's your... the point to be focused on wherever she moves. So she sets your compass.
She does.
Okay, favorite subject in university?
Journalism.
Journalism?
Yeah.
All the way through?
Yeah, all the way. So I loved campaigning as well. Studying campaigning. The fact that, people protest and all that. Those were very interesting.
Okay. Yeah. What's the weirdest food you have ever tried?
Oh, I'm not a foodie, so I don't try a lot. But there was this very weird, sweet kind of thing that was very sour that my friend made me taste. I think it was an Iranian dish.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But yes, that was...
It was sour?
Yeah.
You call it faluda? Shirazi faluda?
Oh, God. No. It wasn't that.
Because Shirazi faluda is actually... They put a lot of lemon in it and make it sour. But they also have another option to make it sweet. So they both comes. But I don't know which dish you are
okay.
talking about, which I haven't
I
tried.
don't even remember the name, but yes, usually don't try too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had been working in CNN Academy in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So you lived there, you stayed there, you traveled there more. So which city is more exciting for you, Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
Dubai.
No
Everyone
comparison.
will agree Dubai is more exciting, Abu Dhabi is more calmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who inspires you the most?
Personally, I don't have a role model of any sort, but a future version of mine inspires me.
Beautiful answer. The future version of you, which you can see right now and
Yeah.
inspires you to reach there.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Okay, now you feel very comfortable studying in UAE, living in UAE. But still, I know there's certain cases people they feel uncomfortable wearing hijab. I know this. It's a sensitive issue in the West, in the East, probably not much in Middle East. But did you face any problem while wearing hijab? And what is your understanding of hijab? Why do you even wear it?
So I started wearing the hijab when I was 9 years old, very young age, and I wanted to wear it
Since 9 years old?
since 9. Yeah.
So what was your understanding at that time?
I think I don't know. I was just in love. I used to see my mom, my grandmother, my aunts. They were all wearing the hijab, and I just wanted to be part of what they stood for. You know, even at that young age, it used to just feel like it looks pretty.
Okay.
You know, at that time, I was like, it looks quite pretty, you know, even though, I mean, the fact is that you're concealing, you know, your beauty, but it's much more than that. It's
How
much
does it help
more than
you?
that. I think it helps me. For me, I'd say hijab is my strength. Hijab is my power. It's my reminder that I'm part of a religion that is bigger than what all of this brings to me. It's bigger than the worldly desires that I have. You know, of course, I'm human and we sin. Yeah, but then there's also that constant reminder that you need. You know, it feels like I'm representing something. I'm representing the truth, I'd say. I'm representing what I believe in. And I'm very proud of wearing the hijab. To me, that's my strength.
That's your strength. You feel strong when you wear hijab.
I feel fierce when I wear the hijab.
Fierce.
Yeah.
And fearless?
And fearless.
And fearless.
Yeah, because I don't fear anything if it's the truth. I fear lies.
You fear lies.
I fear.
So any story which you would like to share with us where you had some problem with wearing hijab, somebody you confronted or somebody really put you down or made you feel sad about something you would like to share with us?
So I've lived here my whole life, and the school I used to go to was Oxford School, and it was an Islamic school. And so every student, the female student, had to wear the hijab. If you're Muslim, you had to wear the hijab. And I think that's where, I guess, the conflict came in as to, can you force it on them, or is it okay? So I guess I used to specifically and personally, alhamdulillah, I haven't been told or insulted about the hijab. But what comes with it may make people feel uncomfortable. So for example, if I'm not comfortable with shaking someone's hands, and I tell them that I'm not comfortable, they may feel very awkward about it. And then they start asking several questions. Or if they see you as too Islamic, so then everything surrounding it would be jokes or sarcasm, mainly, about, so she wears the hijab, but you don't do this, or you don't do this in Islam, or why don't you follow this if you're wearing the hijab? So I guess the judgment also comes from a lot of Muslims themselves. You know, it's like, why do you have to judge? We are in no place to judge. I'm in no place to judge someone who doesn't want to wear the hijab, who doesn't choose to wear the hijab yet. My best friend started wearing the hijab after we finished university. At like, it was her own choice. No one forced her to do it. Her whole life she didn't wear it, and she decided to wear it because, I mean, she saw what value it holds, you know. And I guess that's what we need to do. Personally, I haven't been picked on because of my hijab. Also because I have a very vocal personality. So it's not something that people can come up to me and tell me about. But yes, there are awkward situations where then they judge me based on everything else.
Right.
You know, or like I did a whole workshop in school. I hosted it. It was about Islam versus culture, which is a very interesting, it's a whole different topic for another time. But hijab was one of the main reasons, you know. And yes, I mean, it's very empowering, I'd say. Hijab is very empowering as a woman. And for those students who don't want to wear it, and to be able to force them again, it's a whole...
So your understanding of hijab comes from the religion which you practice, and you think that because you practice this religion, so this becomes a part of your compliance of the religion, and this is a part of your identity of the religion you are following. So it's like obligatory on you to display yourself what you practice.
Yeah. Islam is a way of life.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life. It's not just a religion, it's a way of life.
And hijab is the part of that way of life.
Yeah, definitely. For me as a woman, the fact that Bibi Khadija, the Holy Prophet's wife, she was amazing in everything that she did. And the fact that a woman like her could be a role model, you know. A woman like Bibi Fatima, who is the Holy Prophet's daughter, women like them are an example of role models. They wore the hijab, and they wore it during a time where there was a lot of criticism. And it's saddening. For me, it's very conflicting when it makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing when someone else criticizes it. You know, because when someone else in a Western country or even elsewhere, they start making you want to remove it just because they're racist or they're Islamophobic, you know, it just makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Okay.
You know?
So you talked about the role models amongst women of the world. So wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his daughter. What about so many role models? And nowadays you can see so many celebrities without taking the name. How would you compare this kind of a role model thing in your point of view?
I think celebrity culture is something we all dive into. We're all sucked into, rather. Everything is about celebrities, whether it's actors or actresses or sportsmen or, you know, sometimes even people in the news, anchors, for example, everyone, or influencers, you know, so there is this celebrity culture that can be toxic for the generation, because then when you see them and you put them on a pedestal and then they end up doing a lot of harmful things that then come out, like for example right now there are a lot of things about a specific singer in the US that a lot of things have been coming out about the fact that he was sexually assaulting women, and you know, all of these things. It just breaks the illusion that the celebrity culture is toxic. So yes, you can be fond of someone, but don't put them on a pedestal to make them your role model. Be fond of them, like them, but like there are a lot of sportsmen that people follow and, you know, they really like them, and then turns out they've been abusing their wives or they've been into sexual assault, and then there's a case on them, you know, and all this gets revealed, and then you'd think that it just shatters your whole illusion of celebrity culture. So yes, I don't think that we should put them on a pedestal that they are role models. No, it's wrong.
So what's the
I'd say.
criteria of setting up making a role model in your life?
I think pick someone who you would want to be like. Not
So most
in
of the people
terms
want
of,
to be like those celebrities.
No, I think the fact that they know now that their celebrities they live a life where it can be quite empty. That's why there are a lot of suicide rates and all of that. But it's very empty. Even when you see it from the outside, sometimes it's just glitter and glamour. What your true purpose is, find someone who believes in that purpose. Okay? And it can be anyone. It can be your parents. Your parents can be your role models. Your dad, who is hardworking, bringing food on the table. Or your mom, who is also hardworking, working at a job, or being a mom and also having a career.
Yeah.
She can be a role model. Handling all of these things simultaneously. It's not easy. Or your older sister or your younger sister. Anyone who has you don't see someone as, when you're looking at a role model, don't look at their lives. You want your life to be like theirs. No. Your belief system, what they believe in, their ideology. People like Malcolm X are great to look up to. Nelson Mandela, they have similar ideologies to what you have. Those are role models. Otherwise, then it's like, it just, it leads you down to a path where now you don't know who you're following. You don't really know them anyway. We don't really know them.
Yeah, we just know what we see.
What we see
And
and
we
what we're
believe in
shown.
it.
Yeah. We
So that's just the
believe that.
surface.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know about their life.
Yeah.
How shattered they are.
All the world's a stage.
Yeah.
As they say.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And last night I was just saying Michael Jackson's some best songs, his peak time, and his all history, how he evolved from a younger age until the age of 50.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, like, this guy was a genius in what he was doing. But then his end really was, I felt hurt about it.
Yeah.
So he had everything. He had fame, he had money, he had power. But you see, his life was really how he died.
Yeah.
And it was really painful to see that. So a lot of time it happens, people, they're ready to reach somewhere just after seeing their celebrities as role model, but they don't know how much sacrifice they have to give, how much cost they have to pay, the price they have to pay. That's opportunity cost.
Yeah.
To become that, but while they reach and become that, they don't know how much they have lost in their life.
Exactly.
So the purpose has to be very clear. You want to reach there, then what? You are there, then what?
Then what?
If it is not clear for you, it means you have taken a wrong path for you.
Yeah. That shouldn't be the destination.
That shouldn't be the destination.
It shouldn't be the destination, because then all these people, for example, Robin Williams, he's a great comedian. Everyone laughs and he was amazing. He's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But then, we don't really know what's going on in their lives and how they feel.
Yeah.
And we just see the outside.
True.
With everyone, even with every passing stranger, we're just seeing the outside. That's why we tell people to be kind to everyone. You just never know what they might be going through.
Yeah.
But then celebrities, then they reach that fame and then there's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What after that? You get the fame.
Yeah.
You get the overnight success. Or even if you're like an influencer and you get like an overnight success. What then? What's your purpose in life? It's greater than, just having popularity and, smiling for the cameras and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's a bigger purpose.
You were a member of CNN Academy. Are you still a member?
No, not exactly. So I was just a student at CNN Academy, I'd say. Yeah, a journalist trainee.
Journalist trainee, and you were in Abu Dhabi. So tell about this experience.
Oh, so CNN Academy was amazing. It came to me at a very great time when I needed something to help me move forward, because at that time COVID just hit, and we were in university. Our final year in university, my third year, my final semester was during COVID. So we were under lockdown, and then we had to redirect all our assignments, and everything had to change. And then eventually, since we were all on lockdown, everything was quite depressing, I'd say. Yeah. And then I was wondering when I'd be able to start my career. And then I got, like, my aunt sent me an ad of CNN Academy, and I applied. And of course, everyone in the country applied to CNN Academy. So this is based in CNN Abu Dhabi. It's their initiative. The first cohort was the first class ever of CNN Academy. And we applied, and then I got through the first step. And it was amazing. I eventually got through. And we were 16 students. The thing is, because it was during COVID and the second wave had hit at that time, was January 2021, we couldn't go to Abu Dhabi physically.
Yeah.
And we had to have all our classes online. So we were 16 students with every professional who works for CNN came and spoke to us about their experience, and we learned a lot. We learned from the producers of Becky Anderson's show. We learned how they do behind the scenes, the cameramen, then CNN in Atlanta, which is their main headquarters, how they work behind the scenes, how broadcast journalism works. Because I think that's something that's I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to go into broadcast journalism. It's just that at university, we didn't have much of broadcast. It was more of feature writing, articles, vox pops sometimes. Vox pops are those that you take a mic and you go on the streets and you're interviewing people, randomly about a certain topic. Short questions. Those are vox pops. Reviews, movie reviews, and all of that. So we didn't do much of broadcast. And that was quite sad, because I really wanted to do broadcast journalism. And then eventually CNN came through, and we learned so much for broadcast. And as our final, so we spent like 4 months or so at the academy, and we had to do our final project. So everyone had a topic, and they could pick whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we had to pitch the story to Becky Anderson. Now, that's Becky Anderson, and you're like, oh my God, she's like the anchor, of CNN. Yeah. And it was very nerve-wracking. And I had pitched a story about a girl who could speak to animals.
A girl who speaks to animals.
A girl who can speak to animals, yes. She's the real-life Dr. Dolittle, I'd say. So she's a friend, and when she told me she could do all of this, she has her own Instagram page. She helps different pets, people's pets, if they're like throwing a tantrum or, acting up, or she's an animal whisperer.
Animals also whisper to her or not?
They do. They whisper back. It's just the energy. She connects with animals, energy.
Not in words?
Not in words. Yeah. But she can sense what they're feeling. And eventually they tend to calm down, and, even depending on the case. There are some people who can connect to animals, and in a certain way that we can't even fathom, but she does it through energy and all of that. And everyone was shocked by the story. They're like, a girl who can speak to animals, that's new. And it's newsworthy, I'd say. But then, of course, that couldn't go through because I couldn't visually show the story, because it was during the time of COVID. And I wanted a horse to be part of, the whole story. I love horses. Yeah. So yeah, but then that couldn't go through, and so I pitched my next story, which had all the elements that I stand for or I'm passionate about. It was a story about the representation of the hijab in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
And it took inspiration from this model called Halima Aden.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a Somali model, but she grew up in a Kenyan camp.
Right.
And she moved to the US, she became a model, and she was the first hijabi, if I'm not wrong, she's the first hijabi model to walk the ramp. And she stated that her hijab wasn't properly represented. And I covered the topic of hijab tokenism. When I say tokenism, I mean when you're representing something without actually representing it correctly. So just for the sake of it, having like an extra character who is a hijabi in a TV series, for example, with no agency, meaning she has no character or anything, or, you know, things like that are tokenism. You're just adding a character for the sake of it.
For the sake of it.
Yeah, you're not actually understanding or caring, for that matter, you know, for the purpose of what she believes in and why hijab is important. So she felt like they weren't properly representing the hijab. Because they used to make her wear like these jeans over her head to cover her hair, or like a foil or something, you know. It's just that it wasn't hijab, and it didn't come across as hijab. It was just tokenism. It was just for the sake of it. Because a lot of people now want inclusivity. They want diversity. You know, they want diversity. They want to be diverse, but they don't actually understand the concept of being diverse. It's not just about bringing one person and just keeping her there. You know, you need to actually understand what it means.
It's more like a mockery of hijab, sounds like.
Yeah, it's more like that. Absolutely, it became like that, and she decided, you know, that she's not going to do it anymore. And she put up like Instagram posts and on her stories speaking about what she went through with different pictures. And she decided that this is not for her. She and it's on her bio of her Instagram as well, Deen over Dunya. Yeah, so
This world or the hereafter. Deen wa dunya.
Yeah, Deen over Dunya. So it's like she saw where her purpose lies, and she decided that even if she has to do modeling, she's going to do it in the right way. So she's going to wear her hijab properly, and not just for the sake of it, not just because some people want her to cover her hair with just anything. That's not hijab.
No.
You know? So I'm very passionate about hijab, about women, about African stories, and Muslims, and it all aligned with me. Yeah. So eventually I took that inspiration and did a whole story on her. I interviewed around 3 girls who are somehow connected to the industry, who are hijabis, who are very vocal about the hijab and what it stands for. And yeah, eventually it came out to being a very good story. And it was shown to Becky Anderson and my whole class as our graduation ceremony. And everyone's story was portrayed, and it was really good.
It was really good. So you have learned so much about, because this is your profession, so journalism. So you must have learned quite a lot by now, because you yourself practicing every day, that is your profession, your career. So how do you see, because we have been hearing quite a lot that media is most of the time manipulating things, not showing exactly the right news. And if there is the right thing to show and there is no like a drama behind it, this is not a news. So how true is that? So what media shows, is this like not what actually it is, or how it happens?
So every media organization has a specific news agenda, okay? And unfortunately, as journalists, because we're supposed to be objective, we are not being objective when we pick a side or when we're biased. towards a certain group of people, or against a certain group of people. So for years, what has been happening in terms of, especially with Muslims, after 9/11, of course, things got out of hand and they declared a war on terror. But what happened is that the media industry took up this narrative of panic, so what we call moral panic. It's actually a documentary I did about Islamophobia, moral panic, and liberal Islam. So as part of that, moral panic is basically when you're exaggerating against a group of people to make people scared of them, in simpler words. Okay, so the fact that the media, the Western media, has been constantly using certain words, certain narratives, certain news agendas that drive a certain story towards or against a person of color, mainly a Muslim. So, for example, if it's a Muslim who has committed an act or a criminal act, he's labeled a terrorist. But if it's not a person of color and not a Muslim, he's maybe labeled someone who has a mental health issue. So there is a complete, drastic difference in how we tell stories. If I use the consistent word of Islamic jihadist, okay, time and time again, I'm going to use that in a story for years. How will the people who are there perceive that that information? The first thing they hear about Islam would be Islamic jihadists or a terrorist, or every Muslim is a terrorist. You know, that's their perception. Or if they show a man with a lot of beard, you know, or a specific ring that they're wearing, which is religious to them, you know, all of this is not just in the news, it's in movies, it's in entertainment, it's embedded in the industry, the media, the entirety of the media industry, it's embedded in them. My dissertation was about the portrayal of Muslims in Hindi movies, in Bollywood. So it's shown often that there's a certain way a terrorist looks, and that is a Muslim with a man with a beard, and he's probably holding a tasbih, you know, and in his hand, or he's in the traditional clothing. All these are perceptions that they've been putting into people's heads consistently. It's because now then everyone perceives Islam. When you think about Islam, the first thing a person will think about is terrorism. It's not a religion of peace. Their Quran book says that they have to do jihad. All of this comes into their heads, and it's completely misinterpreted, completely. But because it's so embedded into the industry, it's so difficult to unwind it. For them to unlearn and then accept the culture and accept religion and tell them and see Muslims who are normal people, like just like them, you know, and they've taken apart the word jihad like it's nothing, you know, like completely misconstrued the word of what jihad actually means.
So who is doing this with the journalists, like asking them to use such words, and these are like a narrative is being built by some people, is like, who is, because in our understanding, let's say a journalist is the one, a reporter or historian or someone who is really, you know, bringing the actual picture to the world, to the audience. But again, they are not bringing what they want to show, or they are like trained like that, or they don't even know what they are saying.
These people are not good. The other ones are very good. The other ones have a right to self-defense. The other ones don't. The other ones are inhuman. Okay? Basically, the picture that they paint is that they are savages and they don't deserve to live, so it's okay to kill them. That's what they did to the entire Middle East after 9/11. So the fact that after 9/11, they consistently target Muslims it's because of this. They are putting that fear. And they have the backup of 9/11. 9/11 happened, so they're constantly telling them. That's why the main line that they use when they talk about 9/11 is never forget. There's a reason for that. Because they're constantly reminding people that, listen, remember, these group of Muslims are the ones who killed all of these people. Your people, whites, Americans, Americans are the only ones who matter, according to what they've been telling them. The rest of the world, it's not really important. Middle East, not really important. Middle East is always at war. Why? They always have civil wars happening. They're always fighting against each other, according to what they're telling people in the West. Again, a whole misconception. So sometimes the journalists who work for them, the journalists are not the bad people. They sometimes have to follow a news agenda to be able to be part of, let's say, the corporation. If they want to stay in the corporation, they have to follow the news agenda. Sometimes they don't even know why they're following a certain news agenda, without saying too much. But there are certain senior journalists who then are able to say anything on television, and then it's taken as something that's true. So, for example, a story about beheaded babies came out when last year the Israel thing happened, and a journalist spoke about beheaded babies, which was untrue, completely untrue. The fact is that the journalist spoke about it, and then it went around. And then everyone started believing it. Though there was a cover-up, there was a story, a follow-up story that came out that it's not true. But the damage has been done. So how do you see then the other side of the party? How do you see the Muslims who are involved in all of these things? Then they constantly bring up the beheaded babies. So for example, so if you follow a journalist like Mehdi Hassan, is my favorite journalist. He created his own news organization, Zeteo, which, because he didn't want to follow their news agenda, because he didn't want to be biased. He didn't want to be part of the news propaganda. He wanted to have the freedom to speak what he needed to say and what is the truth, especially in the climate that we are in today. If we don't speak the truth, people are dying. There's a whole genocide happening. And the fact that we are all just watching it without anything happening is because they've been successful in embedding the hatred towards these people.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think because right now we live in the world of social media, people's eyes are opening. Because when you speak too many lies, eventually it comes out. Even in the media, people now don't believe completely what the Western media says, because they know there's a news agenda. They know there's a propaganda of some sort. They don't say openly that a certain group of people are dying. We need to do something about it.
It's very, very eye-opening information and what you shared. So social media is playing a bigger role now to confront maybe to this media agendas. And is it effective way? Like people should be following, people are actually following more now social media than the mainstream media. So, but when you talk about the social media again, because social media is not regularized, not controlled by anyone. So sometimes you are getting some right information, but at the same time, some other agenda is working, which is again, you cannot judge what is right and what is wrong. So social media cannot be considered as an authentic all the time. However, people, yes, they have got some sort of awareness, and it depends on their own biases. Which one do they want to believe in? So at least this much they have. But setting up a mind through the social media war or the media. So is there any case, you talked mostly about how Muslims are being shown a negative side or negative picture of Muslims on the media, setting up a narrative, Islamic jihadist. Is there any example for you where you can see the same kind of things that are happening for the West or any other religion or any other culture or nation or someone?
I think the fact that a lot of, I'd say, black people have suffered tremendously in the United States.
Yeah.
Of course, there was this whole civil reformation, and they started getting civil rights. The civil rights movement happened.
Yeah.
Malcolm X talked about it. Martin Luther King came, and he spoke about it. And there were a lot of protests happening around the country. The fact that, so I actually did a project in university based on a TV series on Netflix called When They See Us. Okay, brilliant TV series. I suggest everyone watch it. It's about these 5 boys. Okay, now they're called the Exonerated 5. These 5 boys were people of color. So one was Latin, and the rest were Black Americans. And they were charged for the rape and murder of a white woman in Central Park. And in that year, the investigations never happened fairly. Justice wasn't served. And they were charged with murder and rape and sexual assault. And each of them served terms. Eventually, they found the real culprit who was already in jail.
Yeah.
And the reason why they call them the Exonerated 5 because they were exonerated. After they finished and served their whole term, their whole sentence, basically the number of years in prison, and then they came out. Years after that, they were released of their charges because the main culprit came up and confessed to the crime. So for years, Black Americans have been given this term that, so during that time, the papers used to read that these boys were wilding, because that's the term they used to use for Black Americans, because they were Black and they were in the park with a whole lot of other Black boys in the park, and they were all just there. I think they were celebrating something of some sort, and they were having their fun in the park. The thing is that the murder took place and the 5 boys were caught and charged for a crime they did not commit. And all the papers disregarded, and it became a media trial, what we call a media trial, So during that point of time, all the papers read that they were wilding. What they do is, when you want to create an us versus them, a polarization between people, you have to make the other party look inhumane, like they're not humans, that they are subhuman, that they don't deserve justice or they don't deserve rights. Why? Because you think your race is superior. Okay? So at that time, they thought that the Black people were less superior than them. They were more superior. That was the whole agenda at the time. That's why the whole civil rights movement happened, and equality then came in, and Rosa Parks refused to sit at the back of the bus, and it doesn't matter whether you're Black or white. The only thing is that the way the news portrayed it is that they are subhuman. The Black boys were subhuman. They imagined they raped and they sexually assaulted and they killed this white woman. That was the whole agenda of it. How can they kill a white woman? So, yes, these are the things that they've been doing this for years now. You know, it's been decades. The
Right.
only way that you can justify your actions is that if you treat the other party or the other side as subhuman, or make everyone, or convince everyone, make everyone believe that they are not human enough, so it's okay to kill them. You know?
Yeah, that's how the world operates now.
Yeah. So even Native Americans they went through the same thing. When America was first formed, though, you know, it's all this, the British, even when they colonized, it's basically colonization, but modern colonization. It's the modern world, so this is modern colonization. You're treating the other people as subhuman because you think you're superior to them, whether be it by race or religion.
Yeah. If you are given a chance to bring the change in society in all media and everything what's happening around, so what meaningful change you want to bring?
I think it's the reason I became a journalist, because I would want to bring truth to journalism. The main area of what the reason why journalism was first formed is because of watchdog journalism. Watchdog journalism is basically holding people accountable, people in power accountable for what they've done, and not hiding it behind a propaganda or behind a news agenda. Showing the people what's actually happening and giving. Because I'm a hijabi Muslim woman, I want to be the representation for them. Because when these people see that there's someone right who's representing or who's speaking us, then they believe them. You know, they can rely on them. That the reason why people follow Mehdi Hassan is because he speaks the truth. And the kind of organization that he has created at the moment is just brilliant. It's what I want to do. It's the organization that people want to be part of, because then you're not part of any news agenda. You're not part of a news propaganda. You're speaking the truth. And that's what I've always wanted, to speak the truth in journalism, you know.
Beautiful. It's really a meaningful change which you want to bring, and all the best for that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Shazia, today for such insightful conversation. It was such a great pleasure for me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's been amazing, and I get to speak about my thought processes and what I believe in. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine. Stay tuned for more exciting conversations on Explore Hayat. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we will see you in the next episode.